How's it going, everyone? Welcome into another episode of Diamond Talk. Here I'm with Coach AJ Gonzalez, Director of Baseball Operations of SABRE, and he's also the hitting coach over at St. Peter's. So I'll let him get into his introductions. And then we'll get going.
Hey guys, Coach AJ Gonzalez. As he said, I'm the Director of Baseball Operations here at SABRE Baseball at Inthezonenj. And not only that, I am the one of the coaches at St. Peter's. I work with the catchers primarily. I also work with the hitters, and I do handle some recruiting. Some things that I've done in my previous career. I was coaching at Dominican University last year, Division II school in Rockland County. And then I played 4 years of college baseball at different schools. My best year was my freshman year in my JUCO at SUNY Ulster, and then I ended my career at SUNY Oneonta. I've been around the game for a pretty long time. Since I was about 4 years old, I started playing. And then I was very fortunate. I believe, being a college athlete is very hard to do in any sport. And not only that, just the rigors of being a college athlete, I think. I know you played at Centenary. It's hard to be a college athlete. So I'm here to answer some questions, recruiting, or even just a conversation with Coach Jared, just about college baseball. It's something that I am very passionate about, just the landscape of college baseball at its finest. So I'm definitely happy to be here, definitely happy talking to you.
Awesome. So let's get into first. Maybe let's start with how you got into coaching first.
Sure.
I think that'll take us where we're trying to get to.
Sure.
With
so,
recruiting.
I love baseball, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to play pro baseball, just like many people believe. There's always a joke, not a joke, but a statement that's always said that everybody has their last day in this game, right? And for me, I remember the exact game where I just didn't have fun playing anymore. I've been coaching and volunteering coaching since I was 14 years old. And I'm very passionate about helping the next generation carry this game forward. And I think that's something that Major League Baseball is trying to figure out too a little bit, trying to pave the way for the youth.
Yeah, definitely.
But for me, I've always been passionate about helping somebody else, trying to advance in this game the best way they can. And a lot of the times it's not about hitting mechanics or fielding mechanics or pitching mechanics. A lot of them it's just getting that mentality to be the greatest version of themselves.
Yep.
To be the best baseball player that they can be, if that's what they want to do. My dad coached for a pretty long time. He still coaches. And also, I met a lot of coaches along the way that impacted me very much. Coach Mack in Connecticut is one of the guys, and Coach Zabrowski are the two guys that really got me into coaching, I think, because they were so passionate about what they do. And for me, the way that they cared about me made me really analyze coaching down the road. And again, to go back to the passion of college baseball, being in the locker room with the guys and being with the coaching staff is something that, even as a player, I'm never going to forget. I think we could both attest the bus rides, even going to the CAF after a game or anything like that.
Just that camaraderie that you build.
Just a band of brothers, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you have your ups and your downs. But being able to coach also gives me a different perspective to how college baseball really is.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a player, you don't really understand it a lot. You kind of go to the field, you do what you got to do, if it's early work or you stay late. But as a coach, there's a lot of sleepless nights, I'd say, thinking about, game plans. Like we play Presbyterian our first weekend. We're headed down to South Carolina in February. So, trying to prepare for that is a test, you know what I mean? And it's any team that we play, if it's in the MAC in our conference or any school non-conference, every day is a battle for us. So, I think our guys are going to be ready to do that. And I'm more excited than anything to get this journey started this year and get going with the guys.
So what would you say has been your biggest challenges in this first year of coaching at St. Peter's, along with getting there in the first place?
I don't believe in challenges like that, in a sense of, I believe challenges are opportunities. Obviously there's challenges, I get the terminology, but I believe that any challenge could be taken stride by stride. I think the opportunity came, right, that we brought in a whole new roster. Coach Grant Neary did a really good job of bringing in a new roster. We brought in 33 new guys. So a lot of those guys are JUCO guys. We have some transfers, and we have some freshmen. Getting them to mesh probably was not the most challenging thing in the world, I guess you could say. because it wasn't easy, but me being a fresh face and everybody being fresh faces, it's kind of like, what is this program going to be, right?
Yeah, there's no preset narrative on what you guys are.
No.
You had to build that from the ground up.
Right, and with the history, we don't shy away from the history of St. Peter's and what has happened in the past. But the team that we built now, we got some dogs. We really do, and we believe in these guys. And showing them that belief early on in the fall was so important. We played Gloucester in the fall, we played Brookdale. That's what our fall schedule allowed. And these guys came out swinging. The pitchers did really well. So week by week for me, that's what I admire about this team. Week by week, these guys got closer and closer and closer. We have guys from out west in Cali. We got guys from Texas. We got guys from New Jersey, and all different backgrounds, right? But that's what's beautiful, in my opinion, about our program, is that we can get a kid from Cali, and they're going to be joining a group of brothers that are going to be a different style of play, different style of people, which for me is very important, right? And I'm sure at a lot of programs they feel the same way, but our guys, they're going to be ready to go. And that's the most fun thing the most important thing is when guys come up to me and they talk about how excited they are, right, for the season to start. Because it's a sprint now, I'm not going to lie. We have a couple weeks of practice, and we're, again, at Presbyterian, and then we're at other schools along the way. A lot of travel coming up.
Yeah, that college season is real short. It's real short.
No, it is. I mean, it feels long, but it's not. You know what I'm saying?
It feels long in the moment, but then it's gone.
Then our seniors graduate, and for us, that's very important. Our guys get our degrees. This fall, we ended up with a 3.3 GPA, which was the highest in baseball history at St. Peter's. So our guys did it in the classroom real well,
nice.
And they also performed on the field. Now it's just time for us to get the marathon going of the season, and I know the guys are stoked, and the coaching staff. I'm excited to see these guys play. You know what I mean? And being able to coach them, honestly, to me is an honor, and I feel very grateful for the opportunity Coach Neary gave me to be able to coach these guys to a different level.
So in your first year of recruiting, what are you looking for most in guys? Are you looking position specific? Are you looking body type specific? Do you use any outside sources to help you in that recruiting process? Just give me a breakdown.
For sure. For me, it's very uncommon to just see me at a random game. You know what I mean? I don't think that's how college baseball is anymore, where you just show up to a field and see a guy and you're like, I like that guy. I think some schools probably do that.
Few and far between.
Yeah, I mean, for me, honestly, the biggest thing is guys going on. I know it used to be Twitter, but it's X now. Mm-hmm. You get a lot of DMs throughout, the day, and they'll send you film, they'll send you everything. And the biggest thing when a person's interested in continuing their athletic and academic career, for me, I want to see if you're passionate about St. Peter's, see if you actually know what our academics are and what you're trying to do. Now, it's hard for me to tell if a 17-year-old's going to love a certain major, but I can tell you if we have it or not. Having the right GPA is important, because if you're not eligible, there's really nothing I could do. There's nothing I could do with that. You know what I mean? And as far as being eligible, you have to have a certain GPA. You got to meet certain requirements in high school, and that's when you have to go to the NCAA clearinghouse. So once you're cleared, that's when you're eligible. And for me, a lot of the guys that I recruit, they'll reach out, or, it was brought to my attention. Right? So on X, there's a bunch of videos that get seen. On PBR, Perfect Game. And the video is basically the interview. Meaning, I see a video, that gets you the interview. Then I get to talk to you, right? And I can get you on campus.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about, the days coming forward, what St. Peter's actually has to offer.
Yeah, and find out what kind of person they are.
Right. The biggest struggle I've seen is certain guys don't know how to talk to, college coaches. And they're young, so I give them the benefit of the doubt. But you have to act professional as possible. So no LMAOs or LOLs or emojis. I don't do that because it shows to me that you're not serious. Right?
Yeah, and it's also a respect thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's brought up, right? So for me, when I talk to recruits, I want to see where they're at maturity-wise. That's very important because the way college baseball is now, there are dudes on teams that are 23 and 24 years old. And if you're 17, you're being asked to compete against grown men, 24 years old. And that's probably the toughest part. And if you're mature mentally, you're going to be able to at least get on the field and be with those guys.
Yeah, you're going to adapt so much faster than someone who's not.
Tangibly, you know, what I look for, I'm going to be completely honest when I say this. I look for guys that throw really hard velos. As far as pitchers are concerned, it's just the nature of the beast. And a lot of people won't say it, but I'm going to say it. A lot of us are looking for velo. Velo, again, it gets you the interview. You know what I mean? And being able to locate gets you the job. You know, and being able to spin it is very important. Having a good changeup is very important. Hitting-wise, I look for guys, if we were in a repeat round, have a purpose in your batting practice. Mm-hmm. If I see you pull the ball every time, you might have some juice, but it shows to me that you're just trying to go up there and hit a ball out. Now, is power important? 100%. I'm not going to say that. But a mature hitter knows his zone, and not only that, knows how to approach a BP. So for me, my first, like if I was at a random event or a PBR event, I want to see you, let me see you middle away. Let me see you middle to right. And then your second round, let me see you spray it around the field in the gaps. And then the third round, if you want to have your homer round, by all means. But you got to be able to have bat control and bat speed. I think for hitters is very important. Being able to know the zone is very important too. It's very evident, you know, for me when I see a guy that can hit a fastball real well, but the breaker he's having a little trouble, right? So being able to know counts is important. Being able to hit the ball with authority is important. Bat speed and bat control. You know, for me that's the two biggest things. And for my catchers that I work with, pop time is very important. Receiving, though, is as dumbed down as that sounds, receiving is so important. It helps us get strikes for the pitchers, and I know you pitched it set, and I know having a good catcher back there is important.
Yep.
Luckily, this year, we have 4 catchers that can get on the field at any point in time. And receiving for them comes very natural, and I'm very fortunate to work with those guys. But if I was to look at catcher per se, does he also know how to man his pitching staff, right? That's so important. A catcher for me, right, he has to be close with the pitching staff. Knowing what he has on that day, communicating with him, okay, I see this is working, I see this isn't working, right? But can I see that at a game? Maybe a little bit.
That kind of brings back to the stuff we talked about with one being a good teammate, but two having the baseball IQ to process and evaluate what's happening in real time.
Baseball IQ is so important. I can't say it enough. You know, knowing where you're supposed to be, being a step ahead in everything you do is so important at every position, right? I go to a lot of tournaments and I'll see the pitcher's not backing up the bag on a double in the gap, and it could turn into a triple, right? And for me, like if I see that, obviously there's a learning curve there. Would I recruit that kid? Potentially, if he's got the stuff on the mound, we could teach it. But at the Division I level,
can't take chances.
It's the Division I level is a little different. You know what I mean? A lot of it is us trying to win the MAC, and if you're not going to be able to help us win the MAC, I can't help you with that. You know what I'm saying? I can teach you how to play baseball, but when you get to a certain level, it becomes very. This needs to happen. It's a necessity. It's not a want anymore.
It's an absolute.
It's an absolute when it comes to recruiting. You know, and I think a lot of kids are worried about exit velos and launch angles and stuff like that. And I said velo's important. It is. But again, if you throw 92 and it's nowhere near the zone, it's probably you're going to get the interview, but you're not going to get the job.
I think that's a good way of phrasing it, too.
That's the basis of it. You got to be kind of the full package. Now, there's other programs that'll take a chance, for sure. But I can only speak on what I think and what I've seen in recruiting, that those are what I look for. And that's kind of the basis of it.
So being a college baseball player, a college athlete in general, is essentially a full-time job. Wouldn't you say so? Yeah,
I mean, even in the first week coming back. So the fall, you have certain mandates that you can do. Like, you get more off days than anything else.
Yeah.
Like, Division I, you're only allowed, 2 game days in the fall. But you're usually allowed, 3 to 4 days. But in the spring, it's tough. I mean, even for us, just to start our first week of classes, we'd start our practices around 12. And then from like 12 to 2, or 12 to 3, we're, taking grounders, doing what we got to do. The pitchers will have their own group. The infielders are here. The catchers are here. And then from there, we have our hitting groups from 3:30 to 7:15. So if you're thinking of the party scene and if you're thinking about all that, you're probably not going to be, a great college athlete. Obviously, you can have your extracurricular activities and stuff like that. But if you're trying to be elite in this game at the college level and this is what you want to do for a living, you have to put in the extra work. So even that 12 to 7, right, you're not, like with certain groups, you're not going to be practicing the whole time. You got to find a way to get better. Right? So if that means after practice, you're taking swings. After practice, you're watching film. After practice, you're watching other teams' film, right? Or if you're watching somebody else's swing. Those conversations you have about hitting, pitching, throwing, fielding, those are so important in a locker room because the way you think could be different than the way I think, right? Getting our guys to be ready is so important. And as far as, them being prepared, just because we practice doesn't mean you're going to be prepared. That extra mile, and that goes for an 8-year-old as much as well it goes for a 25-year-old. Some guys are uber talented. I think they don't got to put in the work, but the dude that puts in the most work is usually going to be the breadwinner at the end of the day. And they got to be grinders, meaning they got to be able to, have their bad days, right? And still work hard. And you still got to put in the factors of academics and having that social life.
I haven't even talked about academics
right?
yet.
So that piece is so important, right? So being a college athlete, you got to schedule out your days. And a lot of college athletes procrastinate. I did it as a college athlete, but, you still got to make it work. You still got to be able to excel in the classroom, be a well-rounded individual off the field as well, and then be able to perform at a high level. It's so important. Mm-hmm. And again, if you want to be elite, you got to grind. Like that, it's a grind. Right? There's going to be days you don't want to do it. There's going to be days.
Yep.
For sure. But
it's a student athlete for a reason.
Right.
Because you gotta worry about school first.
Reap the benefits of your own rewards. You know what I mean?
We can both attest to it. This baseball thing only lasts so long.
It only lasts so long. And
so
for sure.
Definitely can't bank on it.
Right. And academics is number one. You didn't come to St. Peter's just to play baseball. You came here to get an education as well. Mm-hmm. Because if you start failing your classes, don't matter.
You're not playing baseball.
You don't play. You're not going to play.
And you don't have the classes to fall back on.
Right. So, you're one injury away. You're one bad grade away from not playing the sport you came here to play. So for me, it's hard work, but I don't think it's hard work. You know what I'm saying? It's hard work. Like, it's a lot of time put into it. But if you love this game, you should be fine.
So based on coaches that you've had throughout, your childhood up into high school and college, how have you set your coaching philosophy that you try to apply to the kids that you're coaching now?
I'm going to be honest. I could talk about hitting all day, for sure. That's something I'm passionate about, catching, and we talk about those things. But you have to show your players that you care and love for them. It's that to me has been the most important thing in my career as a coach. Athletes aren't dumb. They'll know if you're there just to be a college coach or if you're there because you care about the kids. So for me, showing them that belief is something that goes further than just baseball. Because a lot of my conversation with my guys is not just about baseball. A lot of it's academics, a lot of it's outside stuff. And showing them and guiding them with the best advice I can is so important. And showing that you care for them and support them when they win and support them when they might take a loss is so important. Because losing happens in life, and we get it, but being able to mentally go through that is tough. Mm-hmm. And having that support system from a coach is so important, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes it so much easier.
I want my players to always know I'm going to love them even after they retire or after they graduate, that they're always one phone call away from me. And that I'll always help them no matter what, because they also gave me an opportunity to coach, if you think about it.
Yeah.
They gave me an opportunity to coach at the highest level possible. And, for former players I've had, they still call me, right? They talk about life. They talk about how they're doing. And those are the conversations that are the most rewarding. And if we're And if we're talking about hitting, we'll talk about hitting a lot. They'll send me film, they'll send me this, they'll send me fielding videos, what I think. But honestly, a lot of the questions, because I support mental health a lot and supporting a student athlete's mental health and everybody's mental health individually is so important. Staying positive as long as you can, right? Positivity, I believe, breeds excellence, right? No matter the struggles you're going to go through out in a season, you can lose 10 games in a row. I don't want to be a different dude when the guys look at me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to look like a different dude, because once I press the panic button, if they believe in me enough, they're going to start pressing the panic button too. Mm-hmm. And that's something for me that I try to avoid. Baseball is a very fast-paced game, but it's a slow-paced game. When things happen, it seems like it's error, walk, error, bomb,
yep.
Right?
Yep, that's
being able to calm the players down in that moment is important, right? But off the field, having an issue in academics, AJ, what can I do? You know, I don't understand this class. I can give you the resources to do that. AJ, you know, this happened, you know, in my personal life. How should I approach this, right? Mm-hmm. And being able to be there with them, right? Some of these dudes, again, like I said, they're from Texas, California. Their parents just can't drop everything and go. So yeah. If I can be a father figure to them or an older brother, whichever way they want to put it, being able to be there for them every step of the way, I think, is my coaching philosophy. As far as hitting goes, I'm not a launch angle guy, you know. Obviously, I like home runs, but I don't think it's forced. You know, for me, I'm not old school in the way I hit, right? But at the same token, for me, I keep it very simple. And it's going to sound, you know, not like a college coach, but, you know, being short to the ball, staying through it, and hitting it a far way or getting on base.
Do it long through it.
Hey, and that's just how I do it, because if I overanalyze a hitter, that's when the issues start, because then the questions are this and this. What does coach want? No, yeah. I don't. It doesn't matter what coach wants for me. Do you feel like an athlete in the box? Do you feel like you're getting your A swing off all the time? And if the answer is no, a lot of the work is yourself, because I could tell you what I see, but I'm big into body awareness and knowing what your body's doing.
Yeah. And if you can't process it up here,
I'm not a cookie cutter type of guy.
Good for?
I'm not going to say swing down everybody. I'm not going to say swing up everybody. One guy might have a different feel between reel. One guy might have to feel like he has to swing down, but then ends up hitting a homer. Or one guy's swing path is so far down that he has to think up, and his attack angle is a little messed up. That's cool. Whatever.
You can just look at major league stuff, and guys' swings are so different.
Right.
Outside of the few key absolutes,
right.
We'll call it.
There's no cookie cutter. No hitter hits the same exact way. And frankly, body types matter. Body awareness matters. Right. Play to your suit. That's what I would think. Right. If you're a smaller guy that can run, right, and maybe you don't have the most juice right now in that current moment, put the ball in play. See what happens. A lot of fields we play on are dirt. So if you hit a little ground ball and it skews away, you're helping us win if it's an error, because now your legs can get us to second. Now that power guy can get 2 runs in, or at least a run in, or he can walk and get to the next guy. Mm-hmm. So as far as my hitting philosophy, it's very simple. I don't try and overanalyze guys. We look at film, of course, but I'm also not trying to be a cookie cutter type of coach.